What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another Refresh and Refill. We are still knocking out the Beatitudes. If you're just joining us, we are going through the Beatitudes. If you've been here for a while, welcome back. We are going through the Beatitudes. So we're in Matthew 5. Today we're looking at verse 8, which says, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." So, Lenan, tell me a little bit about what comes to mind to you when you are thinking of the pure in heart.
Well, the first one that came to mind, well, actually I had quite a bit of a little train that was like, it made me think of this and made me think of this, and so
Beautiful.
try to hold on. Okay. So first, I thought of Psalms 51. I should have marked these. Psalms 51:10, it talks about create in me a clean heart.
Oh.
And I don't remember what else it says. 51:10. Okay. It says, "Create in me a clean heart, O God. Renew a right spirit within me." Mm. And so I was thinking about how do we have a pure heart? Is I feel like we ask for it. It's obviously not something that we're born with because we're born sinful. Right. So you ask for it. But then I also thought of in Matthew 7, I think it's funny because I think I heard somebody else talking about this today. Matthew 7:21, it says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On the day that they will say to me, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and do many mighty works in your name?' Then I will declare to them, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness.'" Mm-hmm. So then I was thinking about, well, why did they not get to? Because they prophesied in his name. They cast out demons in his name. And I think it was a heart posture, is they didn't have the pure heart. I feel like some people, it's easy to get wrapped up in the doing it for yourself, and taking Jesus out of it and God out of it. And so I think for them, the ones that don't get to go into heaven are the ones that didn't pursue the pure heart. Because in the verse 5, our main verse, it says, "They shall see God." So they were the ones that did all those things, but did it with the right intentions, that did it with the pure heart. Yeah. And so that's kind of what I thought of. And then there was another one in Psalm 73, verse 1. And it says, "Is God not the God of Israel, the God who..." Something about how Israel is, we are God's people, and we should have a pure heart, or something like that. And
God certainly is good to Israel, to those who are pure in heart.
Yes. Thank you. And so that was just another one that I really liked, and how you get a pure heart because you ask for it, you seek it.
Right.
And also made me think of like the knock and the door will be open to you, or seek and you will find it. And in Proverbs 2, 1-12 is just talking about how seeking for, that in that part it's talking about wisdom, but I think a pure heart could be part of that. Yeah. You're seeking the righteousness of God. And if you seek for as for hidden treasure, and if you look for it as for gold and as for silver, like it says in Proverbs 2, you'll find it. And so that's what I got from it. And then you had a couple good verses that I didn't think of.
Yeah, well, I like where you're going with it. I think it's the idea of just, like, what is a pure heart? How do you get a pure heart? Kind of that same idea. Because it's all well and good talking about it until, it actually comes time to do it. And what does that look like? And I think that's a common thing that we who grow up in the church or who recently enter the church can struggle with, is knowing things and hearing things, but having no idea what real application looks like. It's been something I feel like God's been very heavy on me, the idea of finding ways to apply what I'm learning to my everyday life. And so I like what you said. And I thought of two verses. So I thought of Psalm 119:11, which is, I have stored up your words in my heart that I might not sin against you. And so I think that one's a really cool one, just because it's that idea of like when you're storing up what Jesus and God is saying about you, like his words, when they're stored in your heart, you are not going to be prone to sinning against him. And it's kind of a cliche, but the garbage in, garbage out. You know, if you're pouring in God into your heart and you're keeping that and storing it, you know, you will find yourself releasing that. And then it also brought me to Psalm 40, verse 10, which says, I have not hidden your righteousness within my heart. I have spoken of your faithfulness and your salvation. I have not concealed your mercy and your truth from the great congregation. And when I read this, I mean, really, the first thing I think of is just like, you can store things, but you can hide things too. So like if we are just knowledge takers, and this is how I feel like I was when I was younger, was I was a knowledge in a storehouse hoarder when it came to knowledge. And so I would hoard, and I'd learn and I'd just store up everything, and I never once used it. Like I can look back and I see so few times where I used my gift, and it breaks my heart. Because, you know, I think of how impure my heart was. Like, it's funny because I remember the few times I had a devotional that I gave my junior year to my basketball team about Gideon that I was really proud of. And then I gave a devotional at camp, and I led a devotional group. And I remember those two times, that feeling of being, you know, pure in heart because I was doing God's will. Like I remember feeling that, and I didn't feel that in other places. Like there was no times where I chose to do things for God because my heart was not pure, because my heart was for me, while my knowledge and my storehouse was filled with God. I was still hiding it. And so I like this good said he doesn't hide God's righteousness within his heart, and that he speaks it, and he doesn't conceal the truth and the mercy that God has, which I think is crucial when you're looking at like, what does a pure heart really look like? Because I know like a lot of nice people that are not benefiting the kingdom. And so if we want to see God, it's kind of like you said, it's those who are doing his will. And what is his will? For us to go out and spread the gospel, and for us to expand his kingdom. Like that is God's will for us, is to glorify him on earth. And I just really like that, because I think yet another beatitude that is so simple on the outside, but on the inside, when you figure out what does a pure heart, because I mean, to me, it's funny because it's almost the most self-explanatory of the beatitudes. Like, blessed are the pure in heart. Well, duh. Like pure in heart people, of course, they fall in line with God. But it's like it's one of the ones I struggled with more, and I've probably done more studying on this one than any of the other ones we've done. Granted, I gave myself an extra week, maybe on accident, but I've done so much more digging into this because it's so simple that I felt like I missed where we were going, like what it was trying to tell me. In my commentary, I liked it because on that section, when it's talking about the pure in heart, one of the things it talks about is just being open and authentic, and like having a cleanliness of heart, because you're expressing your guilts and you're expressing your failures to God so openly that you don't have this like hidden sin deep in your heart. And I think that is important to know what you're hiding in your heart, because you don't have a pure heart if you're hiding, if you're hiding all this sin in your heart. Is your heart really pure? And I think that's a question we should ask ourselves. I think sometimes we as Christians get scared to ask questions like that, but we should.
I think it also, this was the other verse I was trying to think of earlier, is guarding your heart. Because, I mean, the Bible says, and that was the verse I was trying to look up, is like, your heart is deceitful. And those people that don't get into heaven let their heart be deceitful, and they did it for all the wrong reasons, and they let themselves get in the way, and then just did it under the umbrella of Jesus' name.
Right.
You know? And so you have to guard your heart. You have to, like you were saying, like, trash in, trash out. Like you are what you eat. You are what you consume.
Right.
And so I think that you have to have a pure heart. You have to guard it.
Yeah. And I think it's going along the lines of you are what you eat. I think it's also like the way calories stack up when you stop counting is so dangerous. And I find myself taking in garbage, as if those calories aren't going to affect me.
Yeah.
And I see myself consuming things that are unhealthy for me, and I do it without thinking about it. And next thing you know, you've engorged in so much garbage. And it's scary the way that those spiritual pounds, rack up on you. And it's funny because much like weight and weight gain and gluttony, the consequences are very noticeable. It's like, I know it's very noticeable when you're a person who has a pure heart begins to indulge in things that are not pure, and you can see them turn into almost somebody else. I was like, I've seen that more times than I would like, and I've seen it in my own self, like when I'm on fire and I felt like I have that pure drive for God, and then those times when the bad happens and you wander throughout your day and you just feel aimless, and it's like you see the difference. It's a visual difference, and I think that's why it's important. It's important to have a pure heart, because your heart isn't what's in the end of the day, it's gonna radiate, and so you can only hide what your heart's feeling for so long.
And then again, it also, I feel like there's so many verses that talk about the heart, because it's such a serious thing. Like, from the abundance of your heart, the mouth speaks. And
and how powerful is that?
Well, I know, yeah. It's that, I feel like that verse should be convicting to everybody. You gotta really check yourself if your mouth and heart aren't lining up.
I remember, I want to say it was Journey with Roger Schmidt, but I can't remember which one we did or who said it. It might have just been a youth group person one time. But I remember this person giving an object lesson of, if every word you said was tattooed on your skin, how much more careful would you be with the things you say? And that's kind of what I think of, like, over the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Like, if we were to take a transcript of our day today, how would you feel about the words we spoke? And I don't know if I would be too proud. The more I look at the things I say in private and the things I say in public, like, if I really read those back, where would my corrections be? And I think that, you don't want to nitpick yourself to the point of trying to be perfect. But we are told to strive to be perfect like Christ is perfect. And I think we forget that. Like, there is nothing wrong with us looking to be more like Christ every single day. I love that. I think that was really good. I think that's been one of the best ones, I think, so far for me, as far as the ones we've done. That just really
pursuing a pure heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think the encouragements of the challenge for all of us is, this week, what does that look like? One day, what does it look like to be pure in heart? Like, if we focused on being pure in heart for a day, what would that look like? And are we really pure in heart? And if we are, fantastic. How do we continue to store up his words in our heart so that we do not sin against him? Because I think sometimes that's the other discouragement, is like, we convince ourselves we have to be impure in heart. And it's funny because Sean Ammons, last thing I'll say, makes me think of Sean Ammons, and it's not that we're broken, but it's that we're saving the unsaved places in our lives. It's like redeeming those places that we haven't fully given up to God. So we're saved, we're Christian, we might be on fire. Absolutely. Sanctifying those places that are still, we're holding on to as a person. And so how do you purify the impure parts of your heart to where we do have a truly pure heart? And I think you nailed it on the head at the very beginning, because a pure heart isn't perfection. A pure heart is the pursuit of being like Christ and doing his will. And I think it doesn't really go farther than that.
I think this one has summed up all of the other ones really well.
Damn, there's more to go.
I know. But I think that a pure heart is everything that's listed above.
Absolutely.
And so I think a pure heart is being selfless, and just all the attributes of God and what he showed, and the fruits of the Spirit, and all that kind of stuff. So I really like this one.
I love it.
It's good.
Well, I hope you all loved it as much as we did. I'm just loving this. It's so nice to be able to give you all just our minds as to what we believe the Word is telling us, just trying to share God's truth with you all. I hope it encourages you. I hope somebody's on this one that has never heard of us before, has no idea who we are, and I hope God spoke to you. I hope it's an encouragement to you that maybe whether it's you're not a believer and you're like, okay, what is this like God thing? Because these young people seem rather interested in it, and yeah, we are. We love it. It's a passion of ours. And for those of you who are Christians, and who don't know us and have run into them, the encouragement is, yeah, there's other people out there like you. And don't stop. Don't stop because you feel alone. Don't stop because you feel like you're, being attacked by the world. Because know that the world's going to hate you. But the key to it is having that pure heart. It's walking out these Beatitudes we're talking about. So we love you all. I hope you have a wonderful week. We look forward to seeing you next week. Our song of the week is going to be Gratitude because I recently learned it on the guitar and I've been playing it a lot. And I love the song. And what a good reminder to be grateful in every day. And so I encourage you all, go listen to Gratitude. Take some time to just really feel the lyrics. And we will see you back here next week. Deuces.